What's up, everybody? Today we're going to talk about late swapping in the new Occupy Fantasy lineup builder. We're going to cover two main scenarios today. The first one is probably going to help most users, and that's if you just have one or a handful of lineups and you're looking to quickly re-optimize due to an injury or a change in starters. To do this, you're going to be in the slate that you want. I'm showing the NFL main slate here. I'm in the slate after lock, and in the single builder, you're going to see that I have a lineup that I already built. So let's say I entered this lineup, and in this hypothetical scenario, Alvin Kamara was questionable coming into the game. Now, he did end up playing in real life, but for this scenario, we're going to say he was out. So I've got this lineup. I need to fix it because he's out. You'll see the projection here is 0. So it's pretty simple. All you need to do is take him out of the lineup, and what I'm going to do to give the optimizer the best chance of success is I'm also going to remove the players in the late window. So I've got Kyle Pitts and Michael Wilson also starting in the late window. Remove those players. And now when I re-optimize, the lineup builder is only going to pick players that have not yet started. And there you go. I've got Judkins, Goddard, and Tyler Lockett. So if you have players from the early window that you've clicked in here, it will keep them, but it will not add already locked players to a optimizer lineup after lock. So that's pretty much it. If you need to use the single builder to try to optimize a lineup, you just do it this way. Second scenario we're going to talk about is using the multi-builder. This is a situation where, let's say you're doing mass multi-entry or, a larger number of lineups, and you want to be able to directly import your lineups from DraftKings or FanDuel, make changes in the lineup builder, and then export that file back to the relevant website. So to do this, first you're going to go to the multi-builder. You're going to go into the lineups tab. After lock, you'll notice an extra button is going to appear when the slate refreshes called late swap. And you're going to want to click on this upload CSV. This is where you upload your lineups. First, I have to get my lineups. So to do that, let's start with DraftKings. If I'm on the DraftKings homepage, I'm going to go to lineups, and then I need to click on live. And now you're going to see I have main slate lineups. To edit these, you're going to click on edit entries. And now you've got this screen where I can pick the sport and the style. So I'm going to download this. You'll get a CSV file. This is the file you want to upload to the lineup builder here. So I'm going to do that. You'll see this processing here. It takes a few seconds to map all of your lineups and contest entries, and you'll see the lineups appear. Now, a couple minor things. You'll see the locks next to players who have already started in the lineups view. You'll also see that the delete button is gone and the export toggle button is gone. The reason is in a late swap scenario, the lineup builder has to keep the number of lineups you gave it as an input, so you can't delete them. And it also means you have to export everything that you imported. If you go to the multi-build player pool, you're also going to notice that players that have already started are now grayed out. This is really helpful just as a visualization. You can also go to the player pool here. Show unlocked is an extra filter that appears. You can use this to see only players that have not yet locked because of the start time. Now we're going to stick with the same scenario here. Alvin Kamara was questionable. He's out. If I go look for him here, you'll see he's not there, and that's because I'm filtered to not even show players that have a 0. If I do this, there he is. You'll see I have 40% of him in my lineups. This is a big deal, a big problem. We have to fix it. So what are we going to do? There's a few ways to handle this, and I'll kind of go from simplest to most complicated. The easiest thing for me and kind of what I would recommend is don't re-optimize unless you have to. If you only have a couple of lineups where you need to swap someone, it's a lot quicker and easier to just find those lineups and swap the player by hand. And that also preserves all of the player pool rules, construction, everything that you did before lock. So if I only had a couple of Chimera lineups, for example, I would just type his name in here. You'll see that those lineups now have this exclamation point, and you get a little warning saying this player has 0 projection value. These are ways you can do this. You can just click on the edit button here You could swap him out, save it. The other way you can do this, especially if you have multiple players you want to swap that aren't playing, you can go to this filter and you can click on the show lineups with unprojected player. This will show you every lineup you have with a player that has a zero. So you'll see Kamara lineups here. So if I don't have Kamara in a lineup, since he's the only zero player, you will not see that lineup in this view. So in summary, this is a quick way to swap if you can, but I have a lot of Kamara here, so this would not be efficient to do this 40%, for 40% of 150 lineups. The next best thing you can do is global swap. So that is available in this button here. And what I would do, I would just pick Kamara. And let's say, maybe I already know which player I want to pick. I could just pick him here, or I could go back to the player pool table and look for someone with a similar salary that I might want to play. The best example we have is Quinshawn Judkins. Now, he's a little bit more expensive. Fortunately, our lineup builder does allow you to global swap to a more expensive player, which is really nice. DraftKings does not let you do that. And this lets you it will detect if you have someone like in a flex versus a running back spot, and it will make those swaps for you. So it does take a little bit to run, but it is very automated in that way. So to do this, I would just click swap, and eventually I'll get a message saying 3 lineups were updated. So a little bit of help, but not enough. This makes sense. I built with 49.5 to 50K as my salary range. And so because of there's 500 more here on the price tag, it makes sense that a lot of these wouldn't help me out. Sometimes you get lucky and there's a guy at almost the same price. So if this doesn't work to get all of your swaps, the last option you have is to actually re-optimize your lineups. So to do that, all you really have to do is click on build. Now, before you do this, some points of advice. Remember with late swapping, the optimizer is going to be very constrained because of all of the locked players. This is especially true in stacking like NFL, MLB, NHL. In NBA, it's a little more flexible, but as a general rule, it's good to give the optimizer as much room to breathe as you can. So what does that mean? If you have a bunch of minimum or maximum exposures, if you have a bunch of custom rules, stacking rules, if you have a tight salary range, if you have a big unique players per lineup, these are all settings that I would recommend you relax as much as possible to make sure that you let the optimizer get rid of that player that has a zero, right? That's the top priority is building some competitive lineups. You're going to have some trade-offs given that it's post-lock. If you already have a big, complicated setup from your pre-lock build, an easy way to do this is just to switch to a new slate group here that's fully clean and has no rules, and then do your late swapping there. That avoids you having to go and click through and delete and modify all of those rules. Now, in this example, I don't have rules set up, so I'm free to build. So all you have to do is click on the build here, and you'll see it go through and complete the build. Now, when it's done, you're going to notice a little bit of a different message. It'll tell you the number of lineups that are new. It will tell you if there are any lineups that had every player already starting. And in sometimes it will tell you that it couldn't rebuild certain lineups and it just gave them back to you as is. So in this case, we didn't get the couldn't rebuild any. We got pretty much a good result here. Just as a double check now, if I type in Kamara, I should see 0. And sure enough, he is fully gone. And that's it. So you can obviously, as we always recommend, to hand inspect or see what exactly it did. But if you're crunched for time and you just need to get more competitive lineups in like this, you can just export these right now. So to do that, when you're all done, you're going to click on download. Make sure you click lineups only. This is going to give you the right data in the CSV that allows DraftKings to interpret the file. That's your file. And then you're going to go back to DraftKings. You're going to click on this upload button. And here's the file that I just created. And you will see this successfully uploaded. You're good to go. If you want to just do a quick check, you can go back to your lineups. Now let's search for Kamara. And sure enough, he's gone. Now we're not going to repeat this whole demo for FanDuel, but I will show you the differences in the website just to show you how to get the file and upload it. So we'll go to FanDuel here. Well, that's loading. On FanDuel, you're going to want to click on Live at the top, and then there's a button called CSV Edit. You click on that, pick your slate, NFL main. You're going to click on this download template, and back on the builder screen here, this is on FanDuel now. You're going to go here, same process, upload. Here's the file. And again, we're not going to build all of these, but I will show you the download at the end. So now the lineups are in the builder. One note I didn't mention too, you can actually see the contrast entries for each lineup here. And you can also even sort by number of entries. That's another added feature for late swapping. So if you want to see your highest entered lineups, in this case, all of my lineups in FanDuel only have one entry, so you didn't really see a change. When you're all done on FanDuel, same idea. Click on this download button. And then on FanDuel, it's pretty easy. It's the same screen. You just click on the choose file, click on the file, edit, and you're good to go. That's it for this video.